Hello, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to Food Literacy for All. It's our first session today. The theme for this year is food and care. We are very happy to have you all this evening. And this first session is actually an introduction, so you will get to meet the team, our sponsors, and we will also introduce the different speakers that we will have throughout the semester. So first, I have to tell you that the music that you've just heard is called So We Won't by artist Kwon Bin. So let me introduce a little bit. Let me tell you a little bit about the course. Change here. So my name is Dr. Bénédicte Boisseron. You can pronounce it in many different ways. I pronounce it the French way, but you can say Boisseron. And for you students, you can call me Professor B if it's easier for you. So I'm a professor and chair of Afro-American and African Studies. Our co-instructor, community organizer is Shiloh Maples. She's a community organizer, a seed keeper, and a storyteller, but you will hear more about her in a minute. So first, a few words about our community partners. Those community partners make this course possible. And we have the Oakland Avenue Urban Farm, the Detroit Food Policy Council, and the Detroit Black Community, sorry, did I leave it? The Detroit Black Community Food Sovereignty Network. A few words now about our team members that also make this course possible. We have Sami Maldonado, who is the Food Literacy for All coordinator, Taylor Julien, the graduate student instructor, Sai Cheruvu, the Sustainable Food Systems Initiative, known also as SFSI coordinator, Dr. Lesli Hoey, SFSI as well, Advisory Committee, and Chris Taylor, the College of Literature, Science, and the Arts Technology, and Tiffany Harris, who is our Food Literacy for All grader. Now, Food Literacy for All is presented by the Sustainable Food Systems Initiative with generous support from the Center for the Education of Women, plus CEW+, Francis and Sydney Lewis Visiting Leaders Fund, the School for Environment and Sustainability, known as SEAS, and the Program in the Environment, PITE. Let me continue a little bit more for you. Here it is, engagement. So you can find us on X, and here you have the X. You can also find us on Instagram, and we're going to be using this for every session. We're going to use the iClicker for poll questions and also for attendance, and you will hear more about the iClicker in a minute. And also, I want to let you know that all classes are filmed and available on the SFSI website. And do not forget as well that you can find this information as well, some of them on the Canvas, as the syllabus is uploaded on Canvas as well. Now, I would like to let Sami say a few words about Zoom webinar.
Thank you. Yeah, hi everyone, I'm Sami. So I just wanted to share some ways of how we can engage in the Zoom webinar. Since it is a webinar, there isn't features like raising your hand. So we just wanted to clarify some ways that you can engage. So the first way is to use the chat. You'll see a button at the bottom of the screen where you can include general comments or if you have any urgent questions. So if you're resonating with what a speaker is saying, for example, you can comment that. Or if you're having any technological issues, chances are there could be someone else having that issue. So you're welcome to put any urgent questions that you'd like answer into the chat. The second way to engage is using the Q&A feature. And this is also a button at the bottom of your screen. The Q&A feature is great for questions that you have specifically for the speakers. And at the end of this session, we'll have about 20 minutes at the end where we'll answer any questions you might be having. So when we do have our guest speakers They'll speak for about 50 minutes in a lecture format, and then that will be followed by 20 minutes to answer any questions you have. So again, Q&A is for anything that you can have answered towards the end of the session. And lastly, I just want to point out that there is the option to turn on live transcript or closed captioning if you would like that. Thank you, and I will pass it over to Taylor.
All right, so as Bénédicte mentioned, we're going to be using iClicker as our tool for taking attendance and also just for gauging learning throughout the course. Many of us have used iClicker before in our classes. If you haven't, there are a few ways that you can use iClicker. You can download the app on your smartphone or tablet. You can also Bénédicte, can you hear me okay? Just checking. Great. Okay, sorry everyone. So like I said, you can download the app on a smartphone or tablet. You can type this URL into your browser, or you can log in via a browser, and you can also download a desktop application. So we're going to take some time now. If you haven't downloaded the app, I recommend doing so now. That's the way that I prefer to use iClicker. You can scan this QR code. It should take you straight to our class on the application. If you have any questions, throw it into the chat and we will just work from here quickly. So I'm seeing a question that says the host needs to start the class so we can join it for today. So we will do that once we take the poll questions, and that'll come at the end of class. So right now we just want to make sure that everyone's able to download iClicker and you at least see some sort of invite from our class. And we have some time to sort of workshop it as well. We'll keep moving through the presentation. We'll maybe give another 2 minutes here. And then we will move forward. And if you have any questions, you can send them to me directly in the chat. I will drop the link for iClicker in the chat. And if it's showing that you missed polls from previous days, that's probably from our test runs. So I will make sure that we eliminate anything from previous days, and we'll start with today's class. Okay, here comes the iClicker link in the chat. For those of you who are members of the public and who don't have a Michigan email, you're going to participate in the polls through the Zoom polling feature. So we basically have 2 separate polling features. One is for students who are enrolled and one is for community members. If you're enrolled and you're going to be participating for a grade, use iClicker. If not, use Zoom. All right. So again, send questions directly to me if they come up throughout the rest of this presentation. And I will get back to you on that, and then we'll take our poll questions at the end of the class. And yes, if you are participating in this class for a grade, you do need to download iClicker. You can just use your phones. It's not a physical clicker or anything like that. It's just an application, and it's free. All right. I will pass it on now to Bénédicte, who will introduce the team.
Hi again, everyone. I see you have a lot of questions and technical questions, which makes sense, and we have time. This is why we're meeting today. It's an introduction session, so we have time to answer all of your questions and make sure that we are all familiarized with all the aspects of the course. So as you are trying to work out on the iClicker and download the iClicker, we will keep going and introducing all the aspects of the course. And at the end of the session, we will start some poll questions so we can test how easy it is for you to use the iClicker and answer questions. So for now, I will start with introducing the food literacy for our team. So here I am, as I said, Bénédicte Boisseron. the co-instructor, the faculty instructor for this course. I'm a professor and chair of the Department of Afro-American and African Studies, also known as DAS. My interdisciplinary research brings into conversation global Black studies and the environmental humanities. My most recent book is Afro-Dog, Blackness and the Animal Question, which draws on current debates about Black life and animal rights. I have recently published articles on many different types of articles, but what is more relatable to the course that we're having this semester is some articles on freeganism. Freeganism is a concept that comes from the word vegan and free, and it has to do with food waste repurposing and dumpster diving, for those who know what it means to be freegan, and in connection with Black ecologies. My current book project is an analytical memoir about food in a French, Caribbean, and American context. Thank you. Now I will pass it on to Shiloh Maples.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Shiloh Maples, and I'm the community instructor for the course this year. I'm an Anishinaabe community organizer, seed keeper, and storyteller that's been working primarily within the Indigenous food and seed sovereignty movement here on Turtle Island, also known as North America. And a lot of my work the last several years has been working on supporting intercultural and cross-movement alliance building among grassroots groups, tribal communities, and institutional partners like the university. And my main work right now is focused on co-creating models of seed rematriation. So the return of ancestral or culturally significant seeds back to their communities of origin to support Native nations' food sovereignty, cultural preservation, and ecological restoration efforts. I also have a podcast called Spirit Plate that I made in collaboration with Whetstone Media, and it discusses the social, political, and historical reasons that the food sovereignty movement is necessary. I'm also an alumna of the U of M School of Social Work, where I focused on community organizing and social systems. And with that, I will pass it back over to Taylor.
Hi everyone, I'm Taylor. I'm the graduate student instructor, aka GSI, for this course. I'm a first-year student in the Environmental Justice Master's program over at the School for Environment and Sustainability. And I studied environmental studies in undergrad and got into food justice work in Los Angeles, starting in the garden-based education sector. And since then, I've worked kind of across the food system. I've done some work on farms. I worked for Los Angeles County in implementing a food waste redistribution policy. I've worked in the farm to institution space where we worked to get locally grown food into hospitals and public school kitchens. And I've also worked in the wine industry. So I'm really happy to be here. I'm happy to be back in school. Here at SEAS, I'm studying agrarian justice, so trying to understand how policies play out on the ground, especially for smallholder farmers. I'm also interested in agrarian social movements and how those in turn shape policy. Great. I will pass this on to Sami, our course coordinator.
Thanks, Taylor. Hi, everyone. I'm Sami. I'm a second-year Environment and Sustainability graduate student at the School for Environment and Sustainability. I'm focusing on environmental justice and behavior education and communications. I'm also a Transformative Food Systems Fellow here at the University of Michigan. I earned my Bachelor's of Science in Sustainable Agriculture and Food Systems at the University of Minnesota, the other U of M. And I have a wide array of experience in food systems, such as in community engagement, urban agriculture, farmer advocacy, where I used to work at Minnesota Farmers Union, some policy experience, and a lot of my work centralizes around social justice in environmental, food, and agricultural spaces. My master's capstone project team, we're advancing place-based K-12 food systems education that focuses on environmental justice. So you're welcome to use me as a resource if you have questions about food systems in general. I love to talk about food systems. And as the course coordinator, my main goal is to ensure food literacy for all is functioning smoothly. So I help with promotions and working with outreach and communications. And now I'll pass it to our professor.
Hi again, everyone. Thank you again. Thank you for this amazing team. I think we're going to have a really great semester. And we also have, in addition to having a great team, we also have a list of great speakers this semester. So, and it's already starting next week. So let me tell you a little bit about next week and our guest speaker. Tambra Ray Stevenson is the visionary leader behind Women Advancing Nutrition, Dietetics, and Agriculture. The acronym is WANDA because, as you've noticed, we really like acronyms. So one more, WANDA. Her mission is to cultivate a generation of empowered Black women and girls who drive transformation in the food system, fostering healthier communities through education, advocacy, and innovation. Tambra champions generational Black health as the new wealth, rooted in her deep understanding of the nutritional heritage of the African diaspora. Her connection with her Fulani roots in Nigeria and her family's struggles with preventable diseases inspired her to advocate for food as a source of resilience and healing. This is for her a quick bio of who Tambra Ray Stevenson is. And next week, it will be an event that will be where you will have the option to attend in person at the Michigan Union, at the Union Roger Ballroom. And there will be food served as well. So it's a good incentive to come in person and listen to this amazing Tambra Ray Stevenson. Her talk will delve into the dual rule of food as both a weapon of oppression and a pathway to liberation. Through historical examples, personal narratives, and forward-thinking strategies, Tambra Ray Stevenson explores how food sovereignty, ancestral knowledge, and community-driven solutions can dismantle inequities and foster health, wealth, and empowerment in Black communities. So please join us to reimagine food as power and a foundation for justice and freedom next Tuesday, if you can, in person. Thank you. Now I will pass it on to Shiloh Maples.
So on January 28th, we'll be hosting Paul Greenberg. Paul Greenberg is the author of 7 books, including the New York Times bestseller, 4 Fish, and most recently, a 3rd term. Mr. Greenberg lectures widely at institutions ranging from TED to Harvard University to the U.S. Supreme Court. His PBS Frontline documentary, The Fish on My Plate, was among the most viewed Frontline films of the last few years. Mr. Greenberg teaches in New York University's Animal Studies graduate program. And the focus of his talk will really be on his most recent book, the New York Times bestseller, 4 Fish: Oceans, Sea Slavery, Climate Change, and the Future of the Last Wild Food. And it says here, why do we eat what we eat from the sea, and how do our choices affect marine ecosystems as well as our fellow humans? In this talk, Paul will take listeners through the development of modern day, what he calls seafood economy. And along the way, he'll address how greed and inequity have created environmental and human rights crises that threaten our collective future. The following week, on February 4th, we'll be welcoming Rowan White, who I'm excited about all these, but I'm especially excited for hosting Rowan. Rowan is my seed keeping mentor. Rowan White is an Akwesasne Mohawk seed keeper, farmer, author, and passionate community organizer who's been working within the Indigenous food and seed sovereignty movements. Rowan is the founder of Sierra Seeds, which is a seed cooperative focusing on local seed production and education in Northern California and the Sierra Mountains and the foothills of the Sierras. Rowan weaves together stories of seeds, food, culture, and sacred earth stewardship on her blog that's called Seed Songs. Now I'll pass it back to Sami.
Thank you. The next week after that, we'll have on February 11th, Catherine Miller. Catherine Miller is a proven expert in helping foundations, nonprofits, and socially responsible companies connect with consumers, activists, and other partners through strategic programs and communications. Catherine spent several years as the James Beard Foundation's Vice President of Impact, working with food system leaders to create new and innovative programs that address gender equity, sustainability, food waste, and child nutrition. And she is also the author of a book called At the Table, The Chef's Guide to Advocacy. Her talk is titled The Power of Local Food Systems, How Chefs, Farmers, and Advocates Are Rebuilding America's Food Economy. Her talk will explore how local food networks strengthen communities, boost sustainability, and transform how we eat. Catherine will share stories of collaboration between chefs, regenerative farmers, food advocates pioneering innovative approaches to revitalize our food systems, including producing more jobs and providing greater economic opportunity. She'll highlight actionable ideas to support and grow local food economies that are more resilient and equitable for all. And then the next week, we'll have our first out of 2 panels. So this panel will be on February 18th, and we have a really amazing lineup of speakers, 3 of which are based in Michigan. So we'll hear from, excuse me, John Kent. So a little bit about John Kent. John is the co-founder of Sanctuary Farms, where he works to close the food loop by turning food waste into nutritious compost. And in turn, he uses that compost to cultivate organic produce. He is also the executive director of Sacred Spaces, a nonprofit organization that works to bring food sovereignty and healing naturescapes for historically disadvantaged communities. He's also a friend of mine because he's a student here in the Urban Planning Master's program here at the University of Michigan and a Transformative Food Systems Fellow. The other speaker we'll have on February 18th for our panel on food waste is Renee V. Wallace. Renee advances strategic change through Detroit-based entrepreneurial entities. She's the founder and CEO of Doers Edge LLC, the executive director of Food Plus Detroit, and the founder and CEO of Transform Community Change Leadership Institute and Lab. She has been a facilitative leader, business consultant, and trusted advisor for over 3 decades. Renee is committed to advancing composting in urban cities and has a body of concentrated work in Detroit, in the state of Michigan, as well as national and global work. The third speaker for our panel on food waste is Hajime Sato. Hajime's sense of adventure led him to leave Japan, and then he became an exchange student in Idaho. He later relocated to Seattle, Washington, where he opened his award-winning restaurant Mashiko in 1994. In 2009, Hajime became one of the first sushi chefs to commit to using only sustainable seafood. And he started the sushi restaurant in Detroit called Sozai, which I have yet to go to, but I definitely need to make a visit. So he'll be sharing a great perspective as a chef and part of the food industry. And then the 4th speaker for our panel on food waste is Jamina Shupak, who is the executive director of Rich Earth Institute. Located in southern Vermont, Rich Earth Institute engages in research, education, and technological innovation to advance the use of human waste as a resource. So a very unique approach of how we can talk about and tackle food waste is thinking about the waste that we create as beings. She sees improving the sanitation system in the US and beyond as a vital component in reorienting humans' relationships with the environment. So that's a quick biography of our 4 panelists for the panel on food waste. And next, Taylor will be speaking.
I'm really excited about Dr. Hannah Whitman. She's so cool. I've admired her for years. Hannah Whitman is a professor in the Faculty of Land and Food Systems at the University of British Columbia, Canada. And she's actively involved in the Center for Sustainable Food Systems at UBC Farm, the UBC Center for Climate Justice, and the Institute for Resources, Environment, and Sustainability. She leads UBC's Research Excellence Cluster in Diversified Agroecosystems. She also conducts community-based and participatory action research related to food sovereignty, agrarian reform, agroecological transitions, open source digital agroecology, and health equity in diverse global contexts. If you like really nerdy agroecological, agrarian justice academic literature, you should totally check out Dr. Whitman's work. This will be an in-person session too with food, so we're really looking forward to that. All right, next up.
Here I am again. And this one, I think you can see we are excited about all of the speakers, but we all have the one where we say, oh, this one, I'm really excited. And we're all excited about all of them. But for me, Keith Lemon, I'm extremely excited about Keith Lemon. I've been teaching his book, his memoir, for a few years now. The students are, even students who do not like literature, read the book and say, I haven't had that much pleasure reading a book for a very long time. This is how captivating his type of writing is. And it's good also in the mix about food literacy to have someone who is able to speak about literature. So here is Keith Lemon. He's a Black Southern writer from Jackson, Mississippi. Lemon is the Libby Sharon Moody Professor of English and Creative Writing at Rice University. He is the author of Long Division, which won the 2022 NAACP Image Award for Fiction, and the essay collection How to Slowly Kill Yourself and Others in America, named a notable book of 2021 by the New York Times Critics. Lemon's best-selling memoir, that's the one I often teach, is called Heavy, an American Memoir, which won the Andrew Carnegie Medal for Excellence in Nonfiction, the Barnes & Noble's Discovery Award, and was named one of the 50 best memoirs of the past 50 years by the New York Times. And one thing that I should add about Keith Lemon is that in 2022, he received the MacArthur Fellowship. For those who know that fellowship, it's the nickname for it is the Genius Award. And he is a true genius, and we are very lucky to have him on March 11. So now I will pass it on to Shiloh.
On March 18th, we'll be welcoming Austin Frerick. Austin Frerick is an expert on agricultural and antitrust policy. He worked at the Open Markets Institute, the U.S. Department of Treasury, and the Congressional Research Service before becoming a fellow at Yale University. He is a seventh-generation Iowan and first-generation college graduate. And Austin's talk will be on his book, Barons: Money, Power, and the Corruption of America's Food Industry, which really helps to paint a portrait of 7 titans of the food industry, their rise to power, the consequences for workers, eaters, and democracy itself. And he'll also talk about how we take that power back. I'm passing it back to Bénédicte.
Yes, so now on March 25th, we'll have Jason Morris Porter. So let me tell you a few words about Jason. Jason is an environmental writer and historian who serves as Presidential Postdoctoral Fellow in the History Department and a Black and Indigenous Climate Faculty Fellow in the Harriet Tubman Department of Women, Gender, and Sexuality Studies at the University of Maryland in College Park. He specializes in Black and Indigenous environmental histories, agricultural systems, agrochemicals, cultural histories of ecology and botany, and environmental histories of revolution, resistance, and land reform. Beyond academia, he is also an environmental justice practitioner who supports and designs environmental literacy programs with a number of institutions and communities. So his talk is entitled Researching, Writing, and Teaching Black Environmental and Ecology Environmental Histories and Ecologies of Diaspora. And in this talk, Jason will center Black environmental communication on 3 levels: researching, writing, and teaching. First, we'll discuss inequality and unevenness in environmental narratives and how to analyze new archives and proxies of Black and Afro-Indigenous environmental histories. Second, he'll dive into methods and ways in Black environmental writing today before finally sitting with the new models of teaching Black environmental literacy and other forms of environmental literacy in today's political climate and climate crisis. Now I will pass it on to Taylor.
Great. Thank you, Benedict. Another panel I'm really excited about. This is on April 1st. We have Angie Sanchez, Kidada Green, and Jay Clement. And the panel is on equity for first food and breastfeeding. So we have a powerhouse lineup here. We have Angie Sanchez, Crane Clan. Angie is Ojibwe and Odawa from Michigan. She is a PhD candidate in the Department of Geography, Environment, and Spatial Sciences at Michigan State University. She holds a BA in Communications and an MBA, both from MSU. Angie spent the majority of her professional career as a business analyst. And after having her first and only child, she switched gears and returned to school to study health and medical geography, where her research focuses on increasing access to breastfeeding support resources in Indigenous communities. During her first year as a PhD student, she was awarded a Michigan Health Endowment Fund grant of $338,000 to bring the Indigenous Breastfeeding Counselor Training Program to 6 different Indigenous communities in Michigan, and in 2022 helped author a grant in the amount of $100,000 to collaborate with Michigan Breastfeeding Network to help organize the Sacred Bundle Birth Worker Collective and position them as a nonprofit and single source for birth work support for Indigenous people in the state of Michigan. We have Kidada Green, who's the founding director of Black Mothers Breastfeeding Association, an organization she established in 2007 to support Black mothers in her community. With a background in instructional work within Detroit Public Schools, she has leveraged her skills in education to lead national efforts in breastfeeding advocacy, racial justice, and maternal health. Kidada's influence extends nationwide through initiatives like Black Breastfeeding Week and the Black Breastfeeding Caucus, both of which she co-founded to elevate Black families' first food experiences. And we have Jay Clement, who is the Vice President of Community Health Programs and Strategies at Henry Ford Health, overseeing initiatives aimed at improving community health and equity. Since joining in 2011, she has led key projects like the WIN Network, Detroit, and the Community Health Needs Assessment. She chairs and serves on several boards, including the Michigan Community Health Worker Alliance. Recognized by Crain's Detroit Business in 2021 and 2023, she was named a notable rising star in healthcare and a leader in diversity, equity, and inclusion. And moving on to April 8th, another one I'm excited about. This is Damian Rivera and Rosemary Linares. Both of them are working right now to open up a small scale, basically animal processing facility that will serve local livestock farmers in Michigan. The talk is called, well, their company is called Damian's Craft Meats LLC, and the talk is called A Case Study in Advancing Racial Equity in the Local Meat System in Southeast Michigan. So they'll be telling us their story, and it's a long one. They basically had the idea 10 years ago to start this process, and they're still working on it. They're closer than ever before. So Damian is originally from Guanajuato, Mexico, and he discovered his passion for butchery at a very young age. He worked alongside a local carnicero to prepare meat for family gatherings. Rivera apprenticed at USDA inspected and custom exempt slaughterhouses in Michigan from 2013 to 2017, gaining expertise in the craft. Over the past 3 years, he has built a loyal customer base through on-farm slaughter services for small-scale producers. As co-owner of Damian's Craft Meats LLC, Rivera combines technical expertise and entrepreneurial spirit, advocating for sustainable and equitable practices in the local meat industry. And then we have Rosemary Linares, a seasoned consultant and entrepreneur with over 25 years of experience advancing social justice and equity. Rosemary founded Cross Movement Social Justice Consulting, L3C, in 2010 to drive transformational change through capacity and cross-movement alliance building. She has secured over $4.3 million in grant funding to support planning and due diligence for Damian's Craft Meats LLC. Rosemary has worked with grassroots groups, nonprofits, foundations, universities, and philanthropic communities to strengthen organizational capacity and promote anti-racist intersectional social equity. And I can't emphasize enough the service they're doing to local farmers who have to drive 75 miles each way to process their animals. So great people, excited to have them. Passing on now to Bénédicte.
So the last session, it's not the last session of the semester because we have a wrap up on the last week, but the last guest speaker session is April 15th, Fast Food for Thought, which is a very exciting event that's been going on for the last 4 years. It's an annual event where 10 interdisciplinary Sustainable Food Systems Initiative faculty and staff affiliates as well from across the university each give a 5-minute talk on food and on agriculture related to their research. I had the privilege of being one of them last year, and that's how I discovered the wonderful work of so many of my colleagues. My head was spinning. You can imagine in 5 minutes, they have to present their research that are very complex and brilliant. And that's how, you have so many brilliant people on campus and in the community. So this is a very exciting last event that will have the option also to be attended in person. Now, let's move on to something that is for students, exclusively for students and not for community members. So I will briefly explain what the course assignments are for this semester. It's composed of 3 different elements. First, we'll have weekly quizzes, and the quizzes will be based on the required readings, not the recommended ones. You will see that some weeks you have both required readings and recommended ones. So the quizzes will be based, it will be just multiple choice questions, a few of them based on the required readings, and a few questions as well on the talk of the week. And there will be one open question. It will be through Canvas, on Canvas. There will be one open question about how the talk spoke to you and what you want to say in 1 or 2 sentences about the talk. So those quizzes will open every Wednesday by 12 p.m. and will close every Friday by 5 p.m. And it will be on Canvas. And you can check the syllabus for more details. We will also be using an application that's called Perusal, which allows people to interact while reading a text. It will not be every week. You will see on the syllabus when it's assigned and when it's not assigned. But it's an interactive app that allows students to communicate as if they were talking, yet they are writing, and they are reading and writing just notes on the side. And they can ask questions, answer questions. So these will be not, I wrote weekly assignments, but it's not, sorry, that's a mistake. And it will be due on 6:30 on Tuesdays, the weeks where Perusal is assigned. And then there will be one 1-minute video per student per semester as a reflection video on one of the readings. You can sign up and you can check the syllabus. You can sign up for a week where you will just record a 1-minute video response on one of the readings that spoke to you as well and post it on Canvas. And finally, the last thing is the attendance and participation. And this is where we come back to the question of iClicker and how we're going to use iClicker to process and assess attendance and participation through the course. So here it is. Bring it back to iClicker and Taylor for that.
All right, y'all, we're gonna try this out. So, be patient with us. This is our first time running this, and we have 250 of you. So I know that hopefully most everyone was able to access iClicker via the link or the QR code. I'll send the link one more time just in case. I'm gonna find it in the chat. Okay, sending that over. Awesome. All right, so now I will start the poll. Oh, and Sammy's starting the poll for community members. So again, if you're not taking this class for a grade, you'll reply to these questions straight in the Zoom poll. If you are taking this for a grade, you will do so over iClicker. Okay. So I've started the class now. All right. So the quiz started and you should see answers A through E on iClicker. Let me know if that's what you're seeing, if you're able to get in, etc. Awesome. I'm seeing everything come in, which is great. If anyone's having trouble, just send a message over in the chat and we will help you out. And then again, this is mostly a tool to take attendance and also to gauge learning. So there's no right or wrong answer here. And there never will be. Okay, so we're moving on to question 2. Yeah, I just realized I made it 5 questions. I thought that I would, when I put the number 5, that would make A, B, C, D, and E, but it's 5 questions. So I'll go back. We have 3 questions. I'll go back and edit that. So it's only 3. Sorry about that. All right, moving on to question 2. Oh, it looks like everybody answered question 2. We need to, let's see. Oh no. All right, question 2. This was a question that Bénédicte pulled from a reading. It's pretty interesting. So according to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, how many times are unpasteurized or raw milk products more likely as their pasteurized counterparts to lead to infection and illness? So again, we're just kind of workshopping this whole process right now. We're not taking a grade, none of that. But the correct answer is D. So 840 times more likely as their pasteurized counterparts to lead to infection and illness. Then on to question 3. According to garden expert Jerry Minich, I definitely didn't pronounce that correctly, Cleopatra recognized the contributions of this animal to the fertility of Egyptian soil and declared it sacred. Was it A, the bee, B, the spider, C, the ladybug, or D, the earthworm? And again, no right or wrong answers here as far as your grade goes. All right, the answer is D, the earthworm. Sweet. Okay. And I will be sure to make delete question 4 and 5. Sorry about that. Now I know what that whole how many questions question means. Cool. So I feel like we're in a good place with this. If anyone's having issues, again, send a message over in the chat. You can also reach out to me via email. My email's on the canvas. I'll put it here in the chat as well. And I can help you get in and all that good stuff. All right. Moving on here. We are going to take questions. We've been taking note of some of the questions that y'all have been sending in the chat, and we will take additional questions as well. And Bénédicte, I believe you'll be facilitating this part of the process.
Yeah, so I might have need some help from the team members as well if there's a specific questions easier to answer from anyone. The first thing I want to reiterate is that the polls are not, there are no right and wrong. It's just to monitor. It's also a playful way to gauge your knowledge. So we have a question from Ashley. It says that there are 3 non-remote sessions, but they have Zoom links for streaming. Can you clarify if in-person attendance is required? So in-person attendance is not required for the in-person events. You can live stream as well those in-person events. So that, you know, we're just thinking that for the people who can make it, for the students and community members who can make it, it's a much more engaging way to attend those 3 sessions, but it's not a requirement. Can C students who aren't enrolled in the class attend the in-person events? Yeah, you can register not as a student. Maybe Sami is actually would be best to answer those questions. Sami, if you are there.
Yes. Okay. So yeah, Jason's question, can C students who aren't enrolled in the class attend the in-person events? Yes. So as it's been mentioned, there's students enrolled in Food Literacy for All And Food Literacy for All is also open to community members or the public who might not be students at all. They might be working jobs, they might be educators, they might be students here at the U of M who aren't enrolled. And you can attend the in-person sessions for the upcoming event on January 21st with Tambra Ray Stevenson. That will be held at the Michigan Union. We do ask that you register in advance for that session, which you should have already registered by receiving the Zoom webinar link for this class. So if you already registered on the Zoom page on our website, you're good to go to be registered for the Tambra Ray Stevenson event on January 21st. And that's because, as it was mentioned, there will be food there. So we want to make sure we have enough food for people and that there's enough space for everyone. For the 2 other in-person sessions, that's Dr. Hannah Whitman on February 25th, and then the Fast Food for Thought speakers on April 15th. Those sessions are open to the community, but the seats are first come, first serve since there is limited seating. So if you do want to come to those 2 in-person sessions, I would recommend coming early. And the students who are enrolled in Food Literacy for All will have priority seating. We want to make sure if you're enrolled in the class, you're able to attend those in-person sessions. So again, for the February 25th and the April 15th events, those are first come, first serve seating for community members who are not enrolled in the class. I hope that answered your question, Jason. And if you have a follow-up question, let us know.
So I see 2 questions about the assignments. The first one is about the video response. So the video response, it might be easier if I upload a rubric. So I will just describe in the syllabus. By tomorrow morning, you will get a description of how it can look like and what kind of questions you can raise, just to give you some examples and some guidance. The second question about the assignment is about perusal. So perusal, the way it works is that there is no limited time, and there's no threshold of how many annotations you have to make. So it's out of 3 points. So what you're doing, it's an algorithm that looks at how much you've worked with the text. So you have to make sure that you spread out your annotations throughout the text. You have to make sure that your annotations are relevant to the text as well. It's also good to interact with others and answer questions and ask questions. And what you can do, since it's unlimited, so you can open the reading as many times as you want. You can stay as long as you want, and you can actually check your score. And you can see if, when you close it, if you got 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 3. So to answer your questions, how many annotations do you need? You can assess this way by just looking at making sure that you read the entire text, that your annotation are spread throughout the text, and look when it comes to a score of 3, which means it's enough. I hope it answers the question.
Professor B, there's another question. For folks who choose to do the live stream instead of in-person events, will they still get their participation points from iClicker? Sorry, the English language is failing me today. Is iClicker still going to be happening at those in-person events?
So for attendance at the in-person events, Sami is the one who explained how. Can you explain how it would work? We take attendance at the door, right? For the students?
Yes, just for the January 21st event, we will actually, yes, for all the events, we'll check who the registered students are to ensure they have a seat. So there will be a table outside of those events to check that you're an enrolled student, or if you're a community member. Was your question, Taylor, more on the iClicker participation?
Yeah, so it sounds like we won't be doing iClicker when we have in-person events. So how will we take attendance for folks who are in the class for a grade who are watching live stream?
I believe we will be doing iClicker for the in-person events. Yes, because the speakers, the speakers will be providing the questions that they want to poll students on. So it's a great way for the speakers who are invited to see where people's learning is at, or some of the opinions of the class. And the iClicker questions can be streamed as well through the YouTube or through the webinar link.
Awesome. So we'll just make sure virtual attendees are able to get on and answer the iClicker questions as well. I see a couple questions about assignments on Canvas. For example, quizzes. Where do we find the quizzes on Canvas? Is there one this week? And is the video submitted on Canvas and where exactly?
Yes, so the quizzes, there is not one yet because it's based on readings. So it will open and readings and talks. So it will open next Wednesday, the first quiz at 12 p.m. And that's when you will see it due. It will open on Wednesday at 12 p.m. and close on Friday at 5 p.m. So it's for next week. That's what you're not seeing it yet. It's not posted yet. And for the video response, so it is the same thing as by the 21st, you will have to sign up for 1 week to post your video. And then once you sign up, it will generate, you will receive an invitation. You will see that you will be assigned that week to upload your video through Canvas. So by the 21st, you will start seeing, because we will have the whole list, because you have to sign up by then. And this is when we will assign individually a week on Canvas where you will see it will populate and you will be able to upload your video.
Follow-up question there. Where is the sign up for the videos?
So it's you have to go through the syllabus. Please read carefully the syllabus and you will see there is a hyperlink that you will click for a Google Doc where you will be able to sign up for a week for the videos.
Okay, there's another question here from Sydney. Do we have to purchase the book for the week 9 reading? If so, where can we purchase or access the book?
Week 9 is it Barron's? Which one is it? Anyway, you do not need to purchase any books. Everything that is required is uploaded and hyperlinked through Canvas and on the syllabus as well. So there are no books to purchase. And so if we discuss 2 books during the semester, it will be chapters from the books and excerpts from the books, but not the whole book. But I, of course, recommend you to read the entire book if you want to, but it's not required.
There's a question about, are the quizzes timed?
They are not timed. Yes, and it's also, you will see on Canvas, on the syllabus and on Canvas, it says that there is no time and you can also use your notes.
It looks like some folks are having trouble seeing where their score is in perusal.
So,
Go ahead.
so the score, you have to go to, we'll have to check that. Maybe it's easier if people have troubles to send us an email and we can give you details on how to proceed. So you can look at it and read the guidelines. So please, if you have individual questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us. On the syllabus, you will find our email. You will also find our office hours. You're welcome to reach out via email or stop by whenever you have a question as well.
If we have time for a couple more, the absence policy. Professor, could you speak to that quickly?
You can have an excused absence, but please, it's easier if you email us and Taylor and myself beforehand to let us know that you will not be in attendance so we can keep track. So it's an excused absence, and after that, it will impact your grade. And there will be religious-related accommodations according to the guidelines, yes. My email address, I can share it here. Can I share it here? But it's also on the syllabus. If you have access to Canvas, you can download the syllabus. And maybe, Taylor, you also want to add your email address for assignment questions. I didn't do it to everyone, Sorry, wait, let me see.
Professor, there's a question here. So if I signed up for January 21st, my video is due on January 27th at 12 p.m.
If you, everybody is gonna sign up by January 21st. And then your video will be due the week that the reading is due and the speaker is due, right? The day before. So everybody will sign up by January 21st, but then you will have to see on the syllabus the week of your reading.
Yep. So if you sign up for January 21st, your video is due January 21st.
Yes. Yes. And I think, yes. And I think it might be enough to double check if it's January 20th for 21st. It's always the day before that you have to sign to submit it. Thank you, Tiffany.
Here's another question. Do we need to set up an account to use Perusal, or does the system know it's us since we access it through Canvas?
Yes, the Perusal knows it will be automatically included and added to the Perusal. And there is a tab, but you will access all of the Perusal assignments through the assignment tab, not directly through Perusal. So you will just go through assignment and you will have the list of the Perusal assignments. Okay, as I said, if sometimes it's also easier just to answer by email if you have other questions. It's because what will be good for all of you is to actually read carefully the syllabus and all the different sections, and then you can reach out to us and ask questions, and we can always adjust the syllabus to make sure that it's clear, and we can add answers within the syllabus when we see that it's not clear at some points. So don't hesitate to reach out with questions. Should we move along then? Yes, yes. Okay, thank you everyone for your questions. I hope we will, it takes a little bit of time because there are many different aspects of that course, but once we get familiarized, we always did today. I think it was a good test. I think it will just be run really smoothly, and I'm really excited about this semester. So next, I think we are reaching the end of our session. And Sami, please, do you want to take that one on?
Yeah, thank you. So just as a reminder for what's coming next week, so on January 21st will be our first speaker, and we'll be hearing from Tambra Ray Stevenson, who you heard a little bit about earlier. Tambra will be speaking on food as freedom, and this is part of an annual food as resistance event, which has happened. This will be the 4th year now, where we partner, or I'm sorry, the 2nd year, and we partner with Michigan Dining to create this public event. As it was mentioned earlier, there will be food at this event. I've seen the menu from the chefs who will be preparing the food, and all the chefs are Michigan Dining chefs, and the food looks amazing. The chefs have been asked to prepare food based on their interpretation of food as resistance. So it's a really unique menu of things that you probably haven't tasted from the dining halls before. So I highly encourage you to come in person so you can get some appetizers. And the food service begins at 5:30 if you would like to mingle with people, if you would like to see the other students in this course. And the talk begins at 6:30. So I highly encourage you, if you can't come right at 5:30 for other reasons or time conflicts, please come at least 10 minutes before 6:30 because there will be a table outside of the Rogel Ballroom, and we just need to check you in whether you're a community member or if you're an enrolled student in this course. So please come around 6:20 to make sure that we can check you in and you can get a seat. This will be held in person, again, at the Michigan Union Rogel Ballroom, and there will be a live stream link for those of you that cannot attend in person or if you're feeling ill. So I will send that link out because it is actually a YouTube link. It's not a webinar link on Zoom. I know it's a little different, but that's because the talk is professionally recorded. So it will be a YouTube live stream link and not the Zoom webinar link, but I will send that out. We'll send that out to everyone who do want to join online. And yeah, I think that pretty much covers it. It's going to be a really great event, a great kickoff, and there will be a screen at the front of the room if anyone does prefer to have closed captioning. So if you do need closed captioning, please sit at the front of the room by the presenting screen. All right, and I will pass it back to the instructors for some closing remarks.
Again, I really like one of the questions that I just saw, if we have to dress up next week. It's up to you, the pleasure of just honoring the food and the guest speaker and the community. It's really a festive experience. It's a festive moment. Dress as you wish, dress as yourself. I want to thank you all for coming today, for enrolling to this course, and for trusting us with the technology. We are all new to this, and we're going to learn together, and it will, I can tell it's going to be a good semester, and it's going to run smoothly. So thank you all, and I look forward to seeing many of you in person next week. Thank you.